Hi, this is Carolyn Fisher, and I'm a writer and an illustrator. And I'm here with you today because I am reading my book, The Snow Show, which is a picture book that I wrote and illustrated about how snow is made. And I'd like to thank the Young Alberta Book Society. They are an organization that brings authors and illustrators and storytellers into schools in Alberta, and they are sponsoring this event. So thank you to Yabs TV. So I'm a writer and an illustrator, and I've written and illustrated a bunch of books, a farm book, 2 garden books, a goodnight book, a snow book, a book about cells, and a new book that's coming out this summer, which is called Summer Feet. So a book about feet. But today I'm going to read The Snow Show with Chef Calvin. But before I read this book, I'm going to tell you about 2 techniques that I used when I was writing and illustrating this book. And those techniques are thumbnail sketches. A thumbnail sketch is a teeny tiny quick sketch that you make. It's just a little bit bigger than your thumbnail. And so here are some thumbnail sketches. They're small and they're quick and they're rough. And you make thumbnail sketches so that you don't get bogged down in details when you're brainstorming your picture. So those are thumbnail sketches. And I use them when I'm writing and illustrating books. And I'll take my thumbnail sketch and I'll grab a piece of tracing paper and I'll lay it over my rough thumbnail sketch and I'll trace the good parts and I'll change the bad parts. And I'm not afraid to do that 1,000,011 times until my picture looks the way I want it to look. So that's thumbnail sketch. The second technique I wanted to talk about is the storyboard. So a storyboard is a little map of how your book is going to look. Because when you're making picture books, you usually have 32 pages to spread your story over. And so you know that you need a chunk of story on each of those 32 pages, and you need an illustration on each of those 32 pages. So you use the storyboard to map out how your book is going to look. So here's an example of my little thumbnail sketch storyboard for a twisted tail. So you can see that it's really rough, but I'm starting to figure out what picture is going to go on each of those 32 pages and what part of the text is going to go on each of those 32 pages. And then I take a piece of tracing paper, like I said, and I lay it over top of that thumbnail sketch, and I redraw it and redraw it and redraw it until it looks like this, or it looks like this, or it looks like this, or it looks like this. And so you can see that I've made a little map of how my book is going to look with the storyboard, and I figured out which part of the book goes on every page. So that's storyboard. So I'd like to read The Snow Show to you. This is a picture book that I wrote and illustrated. And I want to tell you the story of how I came to write and illustrate this book. So I live in Alberta, Canada, and there's quite a lot of snow here. And so one day I had the idea of making a picture book about how snow is made. But this idea, when it popped into my brain, it was kind of vague and it was kind of messy. And I started scribbling down my brainstorm ideas, and they looked like this. And I went to the library and I checked out all of the books about the weather and how weather happens, and started scribbling. And then I started making some sketches. How snow is made. How could I make a picture book about how snow is made? And I started to make some thumbnail sketch storyboards to figure out how I might tell this story. And then because my thumbnail sketch storyboards were kind of messy, I took a piece of tracing paper and I put it on top, and I traced the good parts and I changed the bad parts until my storyboard looked like this. And then I redrew it some more until it looked like this. And then I redrew it and rewrote it 1,000,011 times until my storyboard looked like this. And at that point, I still had some work to do because I needed to add some color. And so here's what my storyboard looked like in color. And then I painted all the paintings, and those are the illustrations that became the snow show with Chef Calvin, and I'm going to read it to you now. So it's the snow show with Chef Calvin, and the snow show is a celebrity cooking show where the chef just happens to be a snowman. And on this show, the producer is called Carolyn Fisher. That happens to be my name, and that happens to be me, who's the producer. And it's her job to organize everybody in this show. And so she says, let's move it, people. And in the snow show, there's a sous chef, which means assistant chef, who's called Snow White. And there's another sous chef called Jack Frost. And they are the assistants who help Chef Calvin demonstrate how to cook up different meals. And today, by the way, they're going to cook up a fresh, fluffy batch of snow. So it's the snow show with Chef Calvin. Carolyn, the producer, has to shout into her bullhorn and say, quiet on the set. 3, 2, 1, and action. Snow White says, welcome to the snow show. I'm Snow White, and these are my co-hosts, Chef Calvin and Jack Frost. In this episode, we'll take you live with a studio audience to the North Pole, where we'll cook up a fresh batch of snow. Here are today's ingredients, available in your better latitudes. Sun, water, wind, specks of dust, cold, and heat. Directions. First, warm some water with sunshine. Watch as the water turns from liquid to invisible water vapor in the air. And Chef Calvin, who's evaporating, says, I hate evaporating. Why can't I have a stuntman like the other TV chefs? Fly the water vapor high in the sky. Chef Calvin says, did I mention that I'm afraid of heights? Reserve some vapor for later use. Then chill the rest until it turns into floating drops of water or ice. The bunches of floating drops are called clouds. Jack Frost says, will somebody get that mic out of the shot? And Chef Calvin says, if I fall, you'll be hearing from my agent. Next, swoop the reserved water vapor to a place in the clouds where the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius or lower. Bump a water vapor molecule into a speck of ice or dust. Bam! The water vapor sticks to the speck, turning straight into ice. When vapor turns to ice without turning to liquid, that's called deposition. Ice made by deposition grows into snow crystals. Snow crystals have a special 6-sided shape. That's because of the way water vapor molecules stack when they freeze. Snow crystals often look the same from every side. Chef Calvin says, that's a dirty lie. I'm far handsomer than the other sides. Now feed more water vapor. Use deposition to each snow crystal. By adding or subtracting heat, or by adding or subtracting water vapor, you can make different snow crystal shapes like these. So I want you to notice, next time it starts snowing outside, that at different temperatures, different shapes of snow crystals will grow. So if it's about -5 in the cloud where those snow crystals are growing, you'll see thin plates, or stellar plates, or stellar dendrites. If it's -8 Celsius in that cloud where the snow crystals are growing, you might see columns or needle shapes. If it's -15 degrees Celsius in that cloud where the snow crystals are growing, you might see thick plates or thin plates or stellar plates or stellar dendrites. And if it's even colder than -25 Celsius in that cloud where the snow crystals are growing, you'll probably see thick plates or columns. Meanwhile, high in the clouds, Chef Kelvin says, "Forget the clouds. I'm the star of the show. Why can't I be in this shot? I work my fingers to the stick, crashing, condensing, evaporating, freezing. I'm black and blue and airsick and..." Carolyn, the producer, says, "Roll commercial. Chef's having a meltdown." We interrupt this broadcast for a commercial break. This episode of The Snow Show brought to you by Polar Pops. Chill your chops. Now back to our regular program. Add 1 quintillion more water vapor molecules to each snow crystal. Chef Kelvin says, "Hey, I'm busting my apron!" When the snow crystals get heavy, let them fall from the clouds to the ground. Roll into balls. Stack, if desired. Chef Kelvin says, "And this time make my muscles big." Repeat as necessary. Serve immediately. From everyone here at the Snow Show, thanks for tuning in. May all of your days be snow days. And that's the end, except that there were still some things that I wanted to say about snow, so I added an extra page with deleted scenes and a recipe for Polar Pops and some bonus snow crystals and some bloopers. But I still wasn't done. There still were some more things that I wanted to say about snow. So I called up my editor and said, "Hey, can I have another page? Because I want to say some more things about snow in this book, The Snow Show." And she said, "Nope, nope, nope, you can't have any more pages. You're done. We ran out of pages for this book." So I put together a free downloadable activity kit full of things that you can do around snow science. And that activity kit for any homeschool parents is available on my website, carolynfisher.com. And I'll put a link in the description of this video so that you can get your own snow activity kit and do some snow science. So that's the story of The Snow Show. Thanks for listening. Thank you to the Young Alberta Book Society, which is an organization that connects Alberta authors, illustrators, and storytellers to kids in classrooms and libraries. We appreciate what you do. Thanks, Yabs.